car, if that's not too annoying. I've got to go rush to a meeting.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I'm not going to be able to do after things today because I got a game at 3:30. So,
son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if we go short on that, that's fine by me.
Okay. Yeah, I got this important thing. I got to meet Kenner about. We got to deal with this situation. It's
Yeah, it's difficult. Okay, so
we're not live, are we?
We are now.
All right.
That's let's do. We are on audio channel 2 or 3. 3 control panel. Log in. Going live on. And weird things is clicked, and then settings. Alpha Geek 3, change from DTNS to weird things, save settings, hit play, connecting, and 3, 2, 1. Hey, there we go. We're live on the Alpha Geek radios.
Yay. Hey, Brian.
What's up, buddy?
Want you to look right there. Look right there.
Look
down. Right there.
Wait. What? Dude, you got one of those awesome Futuro freaking pop filters. That looks great.
Oh, I got that too, yeah.
Yeah, you sound great today.
Yeah. Little Bird told me they didn't like the sound of tappity 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 tap tap tap.
Right on, man. Well, I think we're just about good to go. Let me get
almost done talking to this douche.
Oh yeah. Let me just grab a soda, and now that everything's up and running, I'll set levels, and then we're ready to go. Man, awesome.
Hey, if Mr. Bryce is listening,
I am.
Ah! How did that happen?
I'm in studio today.
Oh, okay. God, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. It's in my head.
Yeah, anything.
So on the your story, the idea is all good.
Yeah.
I was wondering, I throughout the week I just save a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, like, we have a neglected Facebook page that I use pretty much just to post whenever the podcast goes up, which is I forget to do it all the time. But we have like 10,000 followers, and I'm wondering if we might just do a little more Facebook presence.
Sure.
You know,
Sure,
it just
sure.
could just be like quick hit. Here's something fun, and then I'll give you admin access over that.
Great.
So just be careful when you go on your angry racist tirades.
Yeah.
You know, Finnish people.
That's the one thing about my angry racist tirades is that I'm pretty good about making sure I'm on the right account.
Good. Stormfront only, man. Just keep it there.
Yeah, because I was thinking, you know, especially something like Facebook where we're posting more stories, or we just have more stories to talk about, that there can be a more, not topical, but just a more, I don't know a good way to say it.
Use words, Bryce.
Just, I'm like something that could
all right, you're
go
fired.
viral.
You're
So, something that could be like, hey, this is a great analysis of this very current thing. That could be like on Reddit or somewhere exposure-wise.
Absolutely. I think that, you know, we have weirdthings.com, which we post to occasionally and all that. But I think if we want to make the Facebook really about the podcast kind of thing, you know, in that universe, that would be kind of cool. And we have, like I said, we have 10,000 people there. We don't put much up there, but I think it's a great way to keep bringing the audience in for the podcast and doing the posts there, etc.
Hey, speaking of which, I just saw Sergeant Muffin in the chat earlier mentioning that there's like a third-party review of the Diamond Club Roku app, and he said they're up to 5,000 installs now. So we're starting to get like natural discovery on that, which is amazing.
Damn.
Yeah.
Just wait for the hate mail to start.
Yeah.
Great, because that has all the podcasts.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. It's got the live content. It's got I mean, we look pretty legit, Diamond Club on there. Sergeant Muffin is the jam.
I just love like, oh yeah, so Sergeant Muffin.
There was the right respectable Sergeant Muffin. The chair recognizes. Okay, let's set levels and then we're ready to go.
Captain Cupcake, General Scone, we're not available.
That's right. Okay, I'm coming in between 12 and 6, and you're coming in between 12 and 6. Justin, let me hear you.
Hi, I'm talking, and this is the voice I'll talk in.
Yep, there you go. Right, we're good. I'm going to delete all this, and then we'll go live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Weird Things podcast. I'm Andrew Main, joined by Brian Brushwood.
Heck yeah. Wasn't even holding a cup this time, but I'm going to drink in the middle of my sentence.
Do it. Do it. Justin and Robert Young.
Hi, it's me, Justin Robert Young.
What an intro. Gentlemen, you want to jump right into some weird here?
Yeah, I do. I was thinking
So, one of our favorite online comics, as everybody else, Randall Monroe, does XKCD.
heck yeah.
And he had, I think it's the most recent one. Let me go there. I love it because this guy, he's so smart. He's just like so smart, and the way he thinks about things makes me go, wow. I wish that was that smart. So he has this graph, and it's this graph of mysteries going from not that weird to weird as hell, and then ranked with I have no explanation or the explanation seems pretty clear. I was familiar with most of these mysteries. I would say actually I was familiar with all of them except for one, and then I'm like, wow, that's really weird. And I want to direct your attention to the far right, upper right corner, lead masks case.
Okay, well, just let's. I'm sure you know more of these than Justin and I will. Just to explore. And by the way, this is at xkcd.com. In the far bottom left corner, which means not that weird, and explanation seems pretty clear. He's got why I keep putting ice cream back in the fridge instead of the freezer. Mysteries, I have no explanation, and not that weird. In the upper left corner, he's got who Carly Simon's singing about in You're So Vain. But in the far upper right, in that I have no explanation and it's weird as hell, he has MH370. Are you saying you know which one that is?
That would be the airplane.
Oh, shoot. The flight. The Malaysia Airlines.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, that's good. And then, wow. I'm familiar with the story of D.B. Cooper. Salish sea feet. I don't know anything about
those are the feet that wash ashore in like British Canada.
Oh, geez. Wow. Marie Celeste, I'm familiar with. The WOW signal. Is that a radio transmission?
Yeah, that was it aliens? It was a narrow band signal picked up by I think SETI or whatever. We still haven't figured out was that
Got it.
burst.
The Lindbergh baby, of course, the baby got kidnapped. UVB-76, I'm not familiar with.
I believe that's a planet. UVB 76. Shortwave. Oh, that's the radio station. That's the one that puts out the weird sort of stuff that maybe spies or drug dealers are giving out codes.
Okay.
The number station?
Yeah, we've covered that.
Zodiac Letters, that's the serial killer, right?
Yeah.
Amelia Earhart, of course, went missing. Lost Colony, I assume that's Roanoke he's talking about.
Yeah.
Kentucky Meat Shower, is this like one of those frogs and fish falling from the sky?
I think so.
Yeah. Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, Dyatlov Pass Incident, I don't know that one.
That's this weird, probably was an avalanche, but it was this weird, one where a bunch of hikers and all that got killed in the middle of Russia somewhere.
And the Voynich manuscript, that's not the one that like they built their own language just to fool people.
Yeah, the weird descriptions of weird plants, things like this.
Got it. All right, well, cool. So I also have no idea what the lead masks case is. Justin, do you have any idea?
I am baffled by many of these, but the lead masks case, I have no idea.
Can Justin and I take a guess before you explain it to us? What it's about?
You can guess, and then I'm going to have you go to Wikipedia and look it up and describe it to our audience.
Okay.
All right. Well, here let's guess before we
Yes.
Google. Lead masks. I'm gonna go ahead and say it is some kind of. For whatever reason, my mind's immediately going to kidnapping or some kind of horror where people are put in lead masks or.
See, I would say like kind of like the crystal skull was found in burial sites, among the Aztecs. I'm going to say lead masks is a similar kind of sarcophagus mystery, like something with I picture it over the face of a mummy and has a curse on it or something.
See, I kind of feel like it would. So if we're looking at the weirdest possible thing. if the only thing that remains of something that would be like intensely bizarre are lead masks.
Oh, wait, what about this? What if there's, this is way weird scenario, but what if there's a tribe that had lead poisoning so bad that when their bodies decayed, only the lead was left behind, forming like the shape of a face, like a lead mask?
I mean, but that's also, that would be a tantalizing possible explanation. But like this is the mystery, right? So it's like, if anything, we got to be thinking of the most mysterious item you could find that involves the concept of lead masks.
Okay,
and
I might have a slight clue before I click on this. When I typed in lead masks, it auto-completed it to lead masks case. So both the XKCD and the autocomplete says that it's a case. So I don't know if that's a case file. Maybe it's a serial killer or something who never got caught and left lead masks all over the place.
See, I think that's where I'm going to, like, because also that creates a more of a mystery in terms of, like, a lead mask you might imagine to not be very easy to build. You're not going to buy it at the Piggly Wiggly. Like, it is, if there is evil intention behind a lead mask, then the person behind it is mysterious, and even just how much time they're putting into it.
All right.
What if I told you it all took place in a place called Latveria?
Wait a minute.
No,
I was about to say, Latveria is the made-up Doctor Doom country, right?
That would be pretty awesome.
That would be amazing. Okay, here we go. I'm clicking on the Wikipedia article, and it says, from Wikipedia, the lead masks case, Ocaso das Máscaras de Chumbo, sorry to everyone who speaks Portuguese, was a series of events which led to the death of two Brazilian electronic technicians, Manuel de Pereira de Cruz and Miguel Jose Viana. Their bodies were discovered on August 20th, 1966. On the afternoon of August 26, 1966, a young man was flying a kite on the Morro do Vintém Hill in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, when he came upon the bodies of two deceased males and reported them to the authorities. The area had a difficult terrain. The police were unable to reach the bodies until the next day. When a small team of police and firefighters arrived on the scene, they noted the bodies' odd conditions. The two males were lying next to each other, slightly covered by grass. Each wore a formal suit, a lead eye mask, and a waterproof coat. There are no signs of trauma and no evidence of struggle in the surrounding area. Next to the bodies, police found an empty water bottle and a packet containing 2 wet towels. A small notebook was also identified in which were written the cryptic instructions, 1630, estar no loco determinado.
Just skip to the English.
Skip to the English. It says 4:30, be at the specified location, 6:30, ingest capsules. After the effect, protect metals, await signal mask. Oh, my God. So did they, let's see, they were identified by their names. Following an investigation, police reconstructed a plausible narrative. On August 17th, Cruz and Viana left their city, with the stated intent that they needed to purchase some materials for work. The two men boarded a bus and arrived at 2:30 p.m. Evidence shows that the waterproof coats were purchased at a shop there. 1 bottle of water from a bar. Upon being interviewed, the waitress from the bar described Miguel as very nervous. That is the last time they are known to be seen alive. It's presumed they went directly from the bar to the spot at which they were discovered. They didn't find anything at the scene, nor after an autopsy. They did not do a search for toxic substances. The coroner's office was very busy at the time, and when the autopsy was finally conducted, the internal organs of the two victims were too badly decomposed for reliable testing. Holy
Pause
cow.
right there. Weird enough for you? Is it weird for you?
That's pretty weird.
Well, yeah, listen, like, very weird, but it's a cult thing, probably, right?
Brian,
like,
continue.
So, keep reading. You want me to keep reading? Okay.
Suggested explanations.
Suggested explanations. In the week following the incident, the Jornal de Brazil recorded a local resident reported having seen an orange, oval-shaped object hovering off the top of the hill, sending out rays in all directions. Another newspaper quoted a professor of yoga as speculating that the men had been experimenting with high-frequency thought waves using alkaloids such as LSD-25 and mescaline to step up the brain. So here's what's I feel like, Justin, is that I don't care if it is a cult or not, because if it's aliens, that's weird enough for me. But if it's a cult, a mysterious cult that we still don't know anything about, that's out there, that is so powerful that it got two guys to get up on a hill and commit suicide with their lead masks, that's just as mysterious to me.
Certainly so. No, I mean, like, without a doubt, there is definitely a eerie nature to to anything that could force two people to, because even in their minds, if this wasn't like a Hale Bop style, we're all going to kill ourselves at the same time kind of thing, they were looking to do some sort of like beyond human comprehension kind of experimentation with the pills that they were given, right? Like maybe they didn't think that they were killing themselves. They thought that they were going to experience another level of consciousness or something like that.
If you click on Google image search for lead masks case, you can actually see the masks.
Okay, here we go. Images.google.com and lead masks case. I'm kind of scared to see. Okay, so they've got... I'm seeing a lot of the faces, and I guess these are just like crazy sunglasses?
Yeah.
Made of lead, they're masks, and you can't see through them unless you're, Kreskin.
Yeah. Man, that's dark. Hey, do we know anything? And this is, I don't know.
No, we don't, Brian.
Apologies if this is too much of a random side jag, but I'm wondering about the prevalence of cults in different areas. Do we know, like, if one area is more prone to cults than others? Like, I would imagine somebody's done a study like that.
It's fascinating because when you start getting into fringe beliefs and stuff, and the short answer is I don't have an answer to that, but I can tell you that when you go around the world, we tend to think of cults in a very sort of narrow sort of way, but then when you start to think about it, there are a lot of them, a lot of different ones, very regional, weird ones in Russia. You have big ones like in China, Falun Gong. All over. You're going to find offshoot, and it's how every religion essentially starts, as some sort of weird thing that then becomes its own thing.
Yeah, isn't I forget where I heard it, but it's like somebody at some point, I believe, said that the difference between a cult and a religion is 50 years. Like if it's still alive after 50 years, it's now a religion. And
I don't know. That's working for the Church of Scientology.
It certainly is from a tax perspective,
Well, I think that the difference is that for the most part is it inward or outward facing. If a cult tells you stop talking to other people when they're not part of it, then they're going to be isolated. And if they have a lot of secrets, they're always going to be very opaque. And most of your very, very modern religions are very open. You understand, your doors are open, walk in there, whatever. There aren't a lot of secrets. There might be some in sort of the organizational level, but you can walk into a Mormon temple and say, hey, what's going on? And they'll talk to you, whatever, hang out. There's not going to be a big, huge recruitment sort of thing where they want your bank account info. And it took a long time for them to gain acceptance, but as they become more open, it's commonplace.
Speaking of Scientology, I'm guessing neither of you guys have seen that HBO documentary based on Going Clear yet?
No, I almost went to go see. They were doing a screening here, but I think it's on HBO next week.
I think it just came out, actually.
Oh,
I want to say it was on the 16th, because I remember during South by Southwest, I was like, we're just going to miss the chance to watch this together. So I really want to see that. After reading Inside Scientology, I've always been fascinated by the cult of personality, and I mean specifically the cult of personality, not calling them a cult. Scientology's lawyers, back off. But in Inside Scientology, it gives an almost sympathetic view of L. Ron Hubbard's intention, but then is ruthless in describing how David Miscavige has run everything since he ascended to power, with the horrific and chillingly accurate phrase. I realize, he comes out of a meditation or locked in the room for a few days and comes out of the room, according to one of his friends, saying, I get it now. power isn't granted, it's assumed. And then he goes on to prove that exactly right over the next 5 years as he takes over Scientology.
Yeah, it is a fascinating story. Is there something, just to keep it more general, like, is there a religion that falls below cult level? Like, does is everything just get the cult moniker, or are there examples of, hey, let's do a bunch of religious-y, churchy kind of stuff, but we're not going to get the C word thrown at us?
I think if you're open and you're not that far from the norm, if you're a little bit off from what people consider mainstream where you are, you're fine. But when you have new revelations, when you say, oh, we have information that's outside biblical revelations, then be like, well, you're saying you have a different conduit to God, and that's when it becomes...
I would say that the closest thing I could think of that meets that description is the whole belief in the secret, and I don't know if we're seeing that kind of go on its way out over the last 10 years.
We can't talk about that.
but the whole idea, the success guru, the secret, just think really hard, wish it, and it'll come true because
that's why
of
every woman's married to George Clooney.
Yes, exactly. I guess that's the closest thing I could think of because I haven't heard anyone call that a cult yet. Or at least not seriously.
Is it so? All right. So what are our baseline? Like, let's say we're building a cult. A thought that Andrew is
theoretically.
Yeah. Let's say a thought that Andrew has only had once or twice a day. But what do you need? What are your baseline, like, you gotta have these things if you're gonna be a cult?
You absolutely have to have a charismatic center personality, right? Somebody that around which everything nucleates. You don't think that's true from your?
I don't know, because I can think of things that have really succeeded post founder. You take like Urantia. In Urantia, there's a lot of stuff that's based around books or ideas.
I don't know what Urantia is.
Urantia. Type in Urantia.
Okay.
And I'm sure there was probably at the beginning was some sort of charismatic person at the start of it. But there's we don't know who the author is supposed to be of that. And I've met very intelligent people who are into this sort of, it's kind of a Christian UFO book sort of thingy.
Huh. Yeah, it says, the writings in the Urantia book instruct us on the genesis, history, and destiny of humanity and on our relationship with God the Father. They present a unique and compelling portrayal of the life and teachings of Jesus. They open new vistas and time and eternity to the human spirit and offer new details of our ascending adventure in a friendly and carefully administered universe. Huh. It says it's not a religion per se, but it builds upon existing religions.
Yeah, well, anytime you have some sort of revelation that sit outside of conventional, then you kind of are.
So does cult have to have, let's go the other way. Is there a necessary element of religiosity that you have to be a cult? Like, do you have to offer some of the benefits of a religion if you want to be in a cult?
So you're saying that does there need to be a supernatural element for it to be a cult?
Yeah, or yes. I mean, if not straight supernatural, certainly Buddhist or some philosophical, you are doing better because we understand the way of the world.
I mean, I would say that certainly that seems to be the case with yogic cults. What was that movie that I watched on Netflix that the guy just decides to start his own yogi cult, and then at the end reveals to everyone that he's just a kid from New Jersey?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I think that if you start with and you say we have our own ethics and beliefs that are outside of mainstream, and we think some things are okay that mainstream society does not. It's one thing you can be more conservative and say, well, we don't smoke. Well, that's not cool. But if you're like, no, we think you can do X, Y, or Z, and we maybe there's some behaviors we want to keep secret from outside society. There are a lot. I think it's a Venn diagram. They think there are a lot of things you contribute. You can have, in politics, you have a number of groups that essentially were cult-like in its formations. The different socialist groups, that formed either the Nazi Party or the communists. You had people that were functioning within there. They had an ethics and they had their own belief system that was not, that was sort of stand out from what was conventional.
By the way, real fast, our intrepid producer, Neshcom, nailed it. It was Kumare, Kumare. It's definitely worth watching. I really enjoyed it.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, it's you see, we want an explanation. It's that drive for, we want somebody to say, this is the universe, this is your place in it. This is the keyhole. This is how you're the key. We just want that. We want that to all have, and that's why, as you point out, Brian, often charismatic leaders can start these things because they can create this narrative, this story that you go, oh, finally, my life makes sense.
I got one that might satisfy the requirements per Justin's question. If you read Michael Shermer's book, Why People Believe in Weird Things, he takes like a chapter to talk about what happened to Ayn Rand's closest followers. They essentially, closed off their group. It became all about essentially worshiping the people who were closest to Ayn Rand. And even though she advocated, as I read it, that the merits of thought should stand on their own. Instead, it became very political, and it became like, no, that's outside the dogma because you were sleeping with so-and-so, therefore you're banished. And, it had all the trappings of a cult without a supernatural characteristic to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of the frustrating things to see with objectivism, was to see that it became something that should not have been personality-centric, became personality-centric. And I think that was sort of lended to her, her idea that of objectivism could apply even to things that we might consider subjective, like art and things like that. Like, this is good, that is bad. That's my objective opinion. And kind of I found Ayn Rand very, very inspiring, but her understanding of science and empiricism was limited.
Strengths in the chat just forwarded us to this the Venn diagram of irrational nonsense that has kind of 4 different circles, including quackery, religion, pseudoscientifics, and paranormal. And in the center of all of it is Scientology, in that it's the Venn diagram in the middle of all 4 of those.
Yeah. Well, hit all those vectors.
Yeah. So anyway, if you're a member of Scientology, just write us at P.O. Box 666. Please don't bother us, Lane, and we're sorry.
I got news for you too. If you're a hardcore Sea Org member, you're not listening.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I've known ex-members who were like they said, yeah, I could. They're like, I could have maybe told you who the president was, maybe, but it was just so not relevant to what their life was or whatever. They're not encouraged to freely roam the web.
When you sign a contract for 1 trillion years and you are, surrounded by people who
I think
are
it's
all
1 billion years, Brian. Let's not exaggerate.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, you're making a mockery of this otherwise serious discussion.
But it's like, when you spend this time truly believing that like, whatever is happening politically is a blip on the radar, and why bother to be invested in it at all, since, in a fraction of your lifetime you'll be on a different planet. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting, I think, though, to look at like how some kind of offshoot organizations can sometimes, when they come more in line with what we would consider social responsibility, then become capable of doing really good things. The Mormons started off as this group that sort of said, we're going off way out west to do our own thing. And now, they are an important part of the American fabric. There are, you look at, people who do public service, people do look a lot of different places like this, very civic minded, whatever. And it's hard to imagine, our country without that part of it. Some of you are like, Seventh-day Adventists were another group that was very fringy, and now they build hospitals and they do other really, seem to be very focused on doing good things. And, I think that, the abolitionists in the 1800s and the 19th century, many of them it was a fringy sort of religious belief, and they were considered these, way out there sort of hippies. And the people that got on the buses to go march for the civil rights marches got on buses in church parking lots, and that started off as fringy sort of stuff. And so I think I'm a person, I'm not religious, and I see some religions can deviate and become more destructive, and I think some things can go more in line and adopt, let's call them humanistic principles, and say, okay, the people right now are very important, and that's how we serve our belief. And so it'll be interesting to see where some of these things are 100 years from now.
Yeah, man.
Like, do they get a certificate? Like, should we have like a graduation ceremony where you go from like cult to religion?
Yes, I believe it's called tax exempt status.
Yes.
Is what you get.
Which, by the way, that among the many amazing chapters in Inside Scientology, maybe the most fascinating is how Scientology got tax exempt status, and just a concerted effort, allegedly, according to people that were involved in that book. It tells a harrowing tale of the IRS being put on the defensive as Scientology presses them through tactics, both legal and many illegal, allegedly, to force them into giving them tax-exempt status, and then the U.S. government caving.
Yeah, always attack, never defend seemed to be the credo during that phase.
Speaking of which, you can attack our Weird Things page on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Weird Things.
Heck yeah, man. You could attack it with your dollars, and we'll countermeasure with lots of fun insights about the strange, the paranormal, and the future of mankind. We so far have 434 members of our Congress of Weird, our legion of awesomely strange out there. They're donating. We're still at 2/3 of our goal of $1,000 per episode. But so far, they've made it possible for us to commit to being here every single week for you guys. They've given us enough extra scratch that we could afford to bring in the fabulous Bryce Neshcom Castillo. How you doing, Bryce?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. That's right. Yeah. And by the way, if you're watching the live feed, he is a danged wizard of listening to what we're saying and posting links right alongside everything in the chat. And of course, you can watch us live at diamondclub.tv every Sunday at around 4 o'clock, give or take, Central Time.
Just like appearing out of the ether. Amazing.
From out of nowhere.
We're ghosts.
All right, gentlemen, I'm gonna blow your mind holes with an idea, a concept. I mentioned this a little bit to Justin, and I've seen the future. Now, there's a guy. His name escapes me. We never talk about him. Has a company I can't remember that makes cars.
Henry Ford.
No. Last name I think had kind of a similar number of letters. Anyhow, makes this
Lyndon Johnson.
I think it's an electric car. He does that. Anyhow, he announced that
Nikolai Einstein.
Something. Anyhow, but he announced that the cars that they make, I guess the ones since October, are actually capable of doing like kind of semi-robotic driving already. And that they have them like driving from like, they can drive from one of them, like they've test ones that can drive from San Francisco to Seattle, right?
Okay. So I missed this news story. So did he just like, did he tweet this out? Did he Instagram like cars driving itself? LOL. So can yours.
No, well, he came out this week and said that there was a big announcement that they were going to end range anxiety when it came to Tesla cars. And so the official big announcement, the reason why they were out there was basically this is like the final FU to that one dude who wrote the negative Tesla review about not being able to get to a supercharger in time. So now you will basically know, like you will have to X out of 2 different screens to run out of power. Like it's going to tell you not only how much power you have, but where the next supercharger is, and will like guide you in that direction upon the car realizing that it needs juice. On top of that, and the fact that like that whole range anxiety solution is going to be pushed as an over-the-air update to the car's internal system, is also this idea that like, oh yeah, BT dubs, there also as part of that will be limited robotic driving. However, understand Much like when Will Ferrell is working on his car in the front yard of in Old School. This ain't exactly street legal in certain places.
Yeah.
So keep it to your private estates.
So in 3 months' time, they're releasing a software update which will include an auto drive functionality, which would right now you'll be able to engage auto steering on highways, but basically it means a Tesla on the road today with the software update. I guess anyone built since October, according to Musk, is technically capable of going from parking lot to parking lot, but we won't be enabling that for users with this hardware suite because we don't think it's likely to be safe in suburban neighborhoods. He says it because those streets often lack posted speed limit signs, etc. But he says in the future, drivers will be able to summon an unmanned Model S to location or direct the car to itself in the garage.
I'll tell you what, man. The biggest leap we could get to is I just want to be able to get on the highway, click a button, and know that I got 2 hours to read a book, play some video games, do whatever, and then, as we get close to the exit, disengage and take back manual.
Well, he said this should not be confused with a proper self-driving car. He says there's certainly an expectation when an autopilot on Model S is enabled that you're paying attention, but it should also take care of you if you have moments of distraction.
Yeah, man. Well, and this is that weird social dance they have to do about saying what they can say in public because there's tremendous liability. And also, if you're dealing with your stock valuation, you don't want to say anything irresponsible or overstate that either blows up or gets you in trouble later.
Yeah, I think that, they're drawing the distinction between autopilot and self-driving. Like I have, there are cars right now on the road that have like these automatic, like when you put it in cruise control, they have collision avoidance. And so you put it in there, it won't let you run into the car in front of you. That's a feature. And here now he's been able to combine a lot of these self-driving functions into there, but called autopilot. But anyhow, what we're seeing though right now is a car that's on the road that has a lot of what we would describe as being close to what this is. I had this idea, and I'm not original to this, I'm sure, but I was thinking about like, man, it'd be really cool. Would be in 10 years or whatever when we actually have the laws and stuff that allow us to have robocars. You know what I want?
What?
Robo RV. A Robo Winnebago. A Robobago.
Oh, just take you on a tour around the United States?
Dude, just roaming the country in my house that drives itself.
And it's all electric powered, so it just gets you from station to station. You sit there just lounging. That'd be amazing.
Take a nap in the back, watch some Netflix, just roam forever.
Our friend CJ Johnson is kind of doing exactly that. He got a giant freaking RV that he takes to all his gigs now, and so when he's done, I think it'd be awesome to have a private jet take me back home. He walks out into the parking lot and he's home. Hey, so I tweeted something that I didn't think was very controversial, but it started a firestorm of arguments. Like I can't think of anything in the last 5 months that has upset more people than me linking to one of these announcements by Elon Musk, in which I believe he says that in the future, it'll seem irresponsible to let people handle these death machines.
Did he say it that way?
I mean, that's the way it was quoted in the headline. And I'm sure Bryce.
Because he says he hopes people will always be able to drive cars.
Well, he clarified that because, but he was talking about public perception, and I think he's 100% right. I think that within 5 years we'll have enough of these on the road that we will see their exemplary safety record. We're gonna see when you see 2-3 orders of magnitude fewer accidents with computer
5 years.
Well, I mean, we're seeing them on the road today. Yeah, you don't think we'll see a safety record in 5 years?
I think that the percentage of ones that'll be on the road in 5 years and we're talking autopilot versus self-driving stuff. Statistically, where do most accidents take? I don't know that we'll see enough of a statistical jump in 5 years' time. Because I don't think there will be enough of these cars on the road by then.
Well, here's my supposition. This is what I was thinking when I wrote it, right? What I figure is 5 years, like considering that we essentially have them on the road today, but people can't buy them, the fact that we're talking about, new Teslas being able to be upgraded, I'm going to say that we have 1,000 to 5,000 cars driving themselves on highways within 5 years. And that we have enough of a track
I'm sorry
record.
to clarify. Do you mean autopilot or full robo mode?
I'm picturing autopilot. Just get on the highway, press a button, and whatever. And then once we have, you figure 1,000 to 5,000 cars. You figure each of them doing, I don't know how many, maybe 20, 30,000 miles a year on there. Now we're up to about 1 million road miles of cars driving. And when you see, an under 1%, an under 0.01% accident rate, I feel like 5 years from now I'm not talking about implementation. I'm talking about perception. I think enough numbers will be in that all of a sudden people will be just running full speed to get this and is enabled on as many things as possible. And I think the thing that pissed people off about my tweet was what I said was in 5 years, it'll look ridiculous that we let people drive our cars. Now, what I meant is present tense. I think that 5 years from now, we'll have enough data that will look like if you're buying a car for your 16-year-old, you will make sure that you buy one with auto drive or autopilot or whatever enabled, because it will look insane by the numbers to let humans do this.
I don't know timeframes, but I do think that like airbags and stuff, it will be a point like first like seatbelt. Why would I want a seatbelt? Why would I want an airbag? I agree. I think at a certain point it'll be like, but it might be incrementally like the collision avoidance stuff first. It'll be like that thing. It'll be like, oh, why wouldn't I have a car with collision avoidance? Why wouldn't I have a car with these other things? I think it might be a grab bag of features, but there are 2 billion cars out there. We only produce like 100 million a year, so it would take 20 years to replace them all.
Oh, sure. Now keep it. And this is what people misread it as, is they thought that I meant past tense. Like in 5 years, everyone will have self-driving cars and we'll think it's dumb, and the government will make it illegal to drive your own cars. I don't think that's the case at all. I think we're looking at 30 years plus before we get to a point where there's even like dedicated auto drive only lanes in the on the highway. But man, did people freak out and start attacking me, saying that I don't even know what they thought I was saying, but they didn't like it.
I didn't know the current state of like what was in cars until Tesla made announcements, and then you realize, oh yeah, BMW has this feature, other cars have this feature, like a lot of luxury high-end cars have features now, like they can tell you the speed limit signs. This collision avoidance system, it's a $10,000 system in cars, which will come down dramatically in prices. I think that we're going to start getting a lot of these. I think that you're going to get collision avoidance. Is going to be one of the big steps you're going to have, and then I think that the big thing for luxury cars will be to pursue more self-park. And you're going to see a thing, I think, in shopping malls and other types of areas of private locations, you're going to see an endorsement for shop. Because like LA, everywhere you got a valet. But you pull in somewhere and it's like, oh no, this is an auto park zone. If your car has auto park, stop here, get out, and it can park. I think that'll be a big feature.
Well, but I guess in terms of perception, if what we are looking at are safety enhancements, then really, like, I don't know what needs to happen for us to flip the bit and say, well, humans shouldn't drive, or like these things need to be mandatory. Like, I just kind of feel like,
and again, neither of those were things I said or even believe. I think that this is the leap. Is everyone's like, oh, you want laws saying that humans can't drive? I'm like, no. I mean,
no, you just want to ban humans, Brian.
Yeah, it's like smoking. It's like yes, smoking is totally legal, but it's generally perceived as irresponsible and not something you want your kids to do. And that's the way I think we'll feel.
Unless your kids are cool
about. Well, that's the other thing that's similar to it, is that it's something that will make you look really, really cool.
Well, I guess I'm kind of confused as to what the conversation is. What is the conversation that you felt people were not allowing you to have?
Just where perception will be as far as acceptance of self-driving cars in 5 years. I think in 5 years we'll have enough data and enough cars on the road that in general, like if you're going to buy a car, all things being equal, the right, safe, responsible thing to do to buy a car for your 16-year-old is to get one that has auto drive enabled. And it will look insane. Like, you will think less of a parent that buys one that doesn't have auto drive capability.
In the same way that you would think bad about somebody who would buy a car without seatbelts or an airbag if those weren't legally mandated.
Yes. And we will think those people are crazy and irresponsible, just like we think smokers are crazy and irresponsible. That was my thesis that nobody wanted to hear.
Yeah,
everyone wanted.
So the argument there is whether or not these things come so far down in price that it is a nominal upcharge, or like it is like something less than an extra $10,000 on top of.
The first people to react in a large scale thing will be insurers. I think that you'll see dropped insurance rates go down a lot. They're the first ones paying attention to the statistics, and like just like with anti-lock brakes, things like that, I think you will see insurance companies saying, "Oh yeah, no, we'll it's a third less if your car has this."
And then all of a sudden you get into that what-a-math phase where you're able to justify the increased expense because you're going to save so much on your insurance.
And it might be a backdoor way we talked about getting into, where you have like robo lanes, where it might be like you might have the HOV lane, or cars equipped with, this feature,
Yeah.
You've already seen that in California, with, zero emission vehicles get certificates, for the HOV lane. So you can see all the Priuses with one people in them scooting on down the HOV.
And can you imagine also, like, instead of HOV, we'll have an ultra HOV lane, which means like, because once you have cars doing it, you don't need a 2-second following distance between vehicles. You can have them, 5 feet away from each other doing 100 miles an hour and everything running at once. In which case,
right.
like it would be literally irresponsible to allow a human being on that speed train.
Gentlemen, I'm going to change the topic.
Let's hear it.
Let's talk about what you're going to do when you're in your robocar. I sent you a link, Brian. Magic Leap, we talked about before. We said since Microsoft HoloLens came out, we'd be hearing more out of Magic Leap. Well, Magic Leap was supposed to do, they're the ones developing this augmented reality system where through some means, maybe goggles, maybe things projected directly into your eyeballs, like we've talked about before, through some means, they layer artificial reality on top of your reality.
Wait a minute. I did not know that this dropped. This is officially from Magic Leap visualization?
Leap. Yep. Okay. Brian is playing the video right now. Describe what you're seeing.
Okay. You see first-person perspective, somebody in their office. It looks like he's got a GoPro strapped to his head. And overlaid over it with reasonably good motion tracking is all of these icons and elements. He looked at his computer and a Gmail icon popped up. Let me turn this up and see what we got. Man, if it's that smooth...
Get ready. Hold on to your butts.
Okay, so he walks over to an empty table and a bunch of phasers show up on it. He picks his robot gun.
They're Gordbot blasters, of which I own one.
All right, and then now he's, I assume, about to play a real-life video game. Oh my god, is this really what it would look like?
Right.
Robots are falling from the ceiling in his office. Blasting them.
Oh my gosh. Powerness range.
Yeah.
He's setting up a turret. Around cubicles are coming more robots that he's blasting. You know what I love about this video? Is they spent all of 20 seconds essentially saying, yeah, productivity. Anyway, robots and blasters in your cubicle farm.
A tank just broke through the wall and is driving into the office.
Holy cow, man. When did this video drop? How did I miss this?
This week. I just saw it. So, and it's on the Weird Things list, by the way, too. If you want to sign up at the $2 level on the Patreon, you will get maybe every day or so, sometimes a couple times a day. Sometimes a couple days there's nothing that weird going on, but you get these updates. But anyhow, there's been some questioning of how realistic is it's very robots falling to the ceiling. This was the video, like the graphics and stuff was by the Weta Workshop, this Peter Jackson company that does the collaboration that did the special effects for The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. Really good special effects house. But there's some question, like they've asked Magic Leap, like, okay, is this like real footage or is this like it's gonna be like this footage? And somebody pointed out, if you go back and you watch the original Google Glass video, and you go, wait, that's not what we got. What we got in the Google Glass video was like this full frame middle of this thing. You actually had some tracking with stuff in there. And then what we got was this little thing that floats up in the corner, that's kind of sort of there,
Yeah. I'm trying to find that video here. I haven't found it yet. But here we go. Yeah. I'm looking at the original video. I didn't realize what a misrepresentation it is, because if you look at this, wow, trip down memory lane here. 2 years ago, you're seeing essentially the same thing. Somebody's looking at the world, and then you see like overlaid with reality, almost like augmented reality.
Yeah.
That's nothing like what we got.
Oh no.
Wow, I didn't even want to look at this. I'm so mad.
Yeah, that was one of the frustrating things with Google Glass was like that first video. You're like, it was like, oh, it looked like what HoloLens and Magic Leap are supposed to be, where it's really this overlaid reality instead of this little heads up display up in the upper corner of your vision for one eye. You know, and that was the frustrating thing. Like when
and by the way, I still think that there's a place for that kind of heads-up display in specific things, but not at $1,500. Like I would probably pay. I do enough serious cycling that I would pay $200 for a heads-up display that had, you know, number of calories, current speed, wind conditions.
I think sure, and I think that like a camera that like like if you go out, you go sightseeing, whatever, a really good sunglass camera or whatever thing that's always on that you could then like say, oh yeah, save that, would be really. I think there's a lot of neat things, but to try to put it out,
that was really the only killer app on Google Glass was, you know, it took really good video, it took okay pictures, and you know, to network that and to be able to just be like, oh cool, like share that. Like that was a cool idea that it got close to. Everything else was just kind of garbage.
So right now, Carl in the chat's asking, how longer will we have to wait without a physical object from Magic Leap? And that brings up a good point, because Magic Leap is in that weird fundraising phase where it's important to generate hype because you could generate more seed money, but there's only so much you could do that before you start to lose the audience here.
Well, I don't know that, like, I mean, they're funded to $500 million right now.
Right.
They've got, and they've been bringing on board too, like some crazy, like you look at who they brought on, game developers and other people. Like they've been hiring some amazing talent within what they're doing. So I think that they're in a little bit of spend happy phase right now because they've got $500 million in funding. What I think they're trying to do is that I think that HoloLens, like, they weren't worried about Oculus because Oculus is a totally immersive reality thing, and where this is this augmented reality, where the difference is between being able to incorporate into your real world versus being shut away in this thing. But I think that they're happy to let Oculus, and now Steam system looks really good for VR. They're happy to let them do that. But when Microsoft announced HoloLens, I think that's when Leap got said, all right, Magic Leap's like, we need to get the narrative back.
We need to own this space because they could look at Oculus as a neighbor. They could look at Steam as a neighbor, but HoloLens is a direct competitor. And they're like, we need to own, we need to be first in the mind.
Well, yeah. I mean, not to mention funded by a company that has, you know, all the money in the world to burn and continue to stake out claim. You know, it's not like some other startup that is more like that has to face the same problems they do in terms of raising money. You know, came out and made a big splash. Like, this is Microsoft. You know, they do swing a very big bet.
Yeah, and so to clarify for audience, Magic Leap has got a lot of funding commitment from Google. Their total funding commitment they have is something like $500 million with hundreds of millions of dollars that coming from Google, and it's very separate from Google Glass. It's not part of Google Glass. Magic Leap is a separate company, but in Google as an investor. And you know, it's,
so what's your take on this, Andrew? Is this the Google Glass demo video syndrome where we just want to get excited about this idea, but the actual implementation is going to be super jank?
I think that no, I don't. I think that what makes Magic Leap interesting to me, it's the underlying idea of how do you overlay video on top of what you're seeing, and what they're talking about. We've talked about this a couple years ago about the real future is going to be in basically retinal projection or projecting stuff into your eye, not looking at a screen, but actually having images projected into your eyeball, which is what it looks like they're doing, and their patents are around that. And it may be the first one, maybe to quote the chat room, the first version of it might be kind of janky to an extent, but you get certain leaps that it's hard to appreciate at the time, but then when you see the refined versions of it, you know, touchscreens have been around like since the 60s essentially, but once you got, you know, the capacitance touch, once you got the kind of really good touch screens that you now find on iPhones and Android devices, and you could really understand that you could have finely tuned touch, you could do multi-touch, the idea of interacting with the screen became very different. And with this, the first examples of this sort of technology, it may be, well, my Oculus has a better resolution as this, but then it has the opportunity to progress to the point where you could build like what Google Glass showed us, you could make that now. You could make what that demo video was. They, in a rush to try to deliver a product at $1,500 and do this and all that, they made a lot of compromises. But I think that we're going to get what Magic Leap and HoloLens have. Maybe it'll be 5 years. It may not be 5 months, but maybe it'll be 5 years.
So here's the other question is how much of the capability of the item do you build into the standalone product? Because let's say it was $2,000. You will have a hard time getting me to spend $2,000 on anything self-contained because I know the processing power and battery requirements or whatever will be so much better so quickly that just like we saw with Google Glass, it'll be in this fast-moving space, it'll be irrelevant within a year or two. But if it was $2,000 just for the display, and you could either maybe connect it to a portable pack that you wore for playing a 30-minute video game or whatever, or connect it to your computer where you would infinitely be able to upscale the processing power behind it. So in other words, it enters more that display space. Televisions have a 7-year replacement cycle compared to consoles or set-top boxes have like a 2-year replacement cycle on that.
Well, we know with HoloLens, Microsoft they say it's going to be a standalone thing and not a tethered product. And I think that's kind of a smart move because if it's standalone and it's a $400 or $500 more premium over what it'd pay to be for a tethered thing, it means there's a bigger profit margin, all that. And it's just, okay, I get this. My Oculus has like a bunch of cables. And the consumer version is going to have a bunch of cables that plug into a computer. It's not an elegant, simplified solution. And the Steam version will be the same. For gamers, it'll be fine. It is totally going to be fine for people who are used to connecting to a bunch of different peripherals. I think that, I heard a really good argument, and somebody made the case that part of the reason the iPhone succeeded so well, the iPhone did so well, is that it was a year before you had an app store, but Apple put so many good features in there that when you got it, and again, people are like, oh, it was crippled. Like, fine. Millions of people bought them anyways,
With no expectation of being able to do more than what was already on that home screen.
And that was like surf the web, really surf the web, not this pocket browser thing. And from there, wonderful, watch a YouTube video. Remember that was like, guess what? You'll also be able to watch YouTube videos. It was like a big like revelation for it,
This hot young startup YouTube's finally going to get the rub from Apple.
You couldn't even remember the first iPhone. You could take photos. You couldn't take video. There was a hack to do video, but it would not record video. Now you have movies in Sundance shot on iPhones that look gorgeous.
I guess, and by the way, if you ever want, I still think the 07 iPhone product announcement is quite possibly the high watermark for like just presentations, like in terms of like tech presentations, like for audience reactions. And it's so funny to just see where the pops are, that like,
the first iPhone or the second?
First one. Or was it 06 was the first one? Yeah, because then it came out later. But like when Steve does the scroll and it's just like the regular motion, it's like it's like like Showtime at the Apollo like level.
Whoop whoop whoop.
Yeah. Oh no, people are jumping up and down, lying on the floor. It's crazy. So with this, like, I just kind of wonder where, because I agree with you that like the big jump is going to be the retinal projection. It seems to be that's where they have a lot of confidence in wearability and not getting people sick based on it because your eye isn't tracking this like.
You had the head of Leap, Abramovich, or he's trash talking HoloLens. He's like, you're just gonna eye strain, blah blah blah. Ours is better, and Microsoft's like, whoa, you haven't even touched ours. So like, you're already getting this trash talk between them as far as, my imaginary vaporware is better than your imaginary vaporware.
I mean, you know who wins when this kind of showdown happens, right? Us.
We do.
Yeah.
No, man. It's like how much better did iPhone start getting wicked fast once Android came to have a pissing match with them?
Well, certainly in terms of development and feature wise. I mean, you've seen Apple continue to allow. I mean, just even to see another operating system kind of test features and see like, okay, well, this is good. This makes sense from a UI perspective. People really like this. This is dumb. We should not do this, or we should wait on these features until they get to a certain level for Apple to do stuff. No, absolutely. I just wonder what is it retinal projection? Is that enough that you can just say like, oh, wait, I can wear these for a significant amount of time. I can actually lose myself in the world or like lose myself in this augmented version of the world and not be constantly aware of everything, and is that, because if that's the case, it seems like that video is impressive yet not insane to think that it could really exist. Like, I watched that and I'm like, it would be a huge leap forward. I think I saw Ryan Block on Twitter making fun of the fact that the person's hand is recoiling on the blaster or whatever. Although, even if you were to look at that, I mean, if you're having robots fall from the ceiling, how hard would it be to motion track your arm with the blaster and make it?
We don't know that's their hand either. I mean, it could be
exactly. Yeah. I mean, I guess there's a lot of other solutions that you could do for that. So like, I don't know. It seems plausible. And if that's the case, then magically, I mean, obviously battery life, price, that kind of stuff very much plays into it. But this seems like it could really be, this could be a thing.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, it's a very exciting to have two big companies going at it. Now, somebody pointed out in the chat room, says, well, the VR form that will win will be the one that porn adopts. That's a misnomer. Porn tries to put itself onto every single platform, including the Google Glass, which they no longer manufacture at this point in time. So it's fun to say, but it's not really true.
Well, I mean, it certainly was based in historical accuracy. That was a big reason why VHS won over Betamax. But you're right in that porn producers, they just want to get their stuff into whatever method they can as cheaply as they can.
Yeah. Gentlemen, so we do some picks.
Yeah.
Porn picks.
All right. Hey, I got a pick. I like this show 30 Rock, and so I went and gave a spin to The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt on Netflix, the new Tina Fey and her husband show, and I liked it quite a bit. I thought that I can't remember a recent show with a darker premise than that they play as lightly as they do. If you are unfamiliar with the concept of the show, remember the Cleveland women who were trapped and kept prisoner in this in some lunatic's basement, and the retrieval of them spawned the Dead Giveaway Auto-Tune the News song. This is basically a riff off that, where Kimmy Schmidt, our central character, is a survivor of a kidnapping for years. She got kidnapped as a child, and now she's 30 years old and living in New York City. But it's a really dark premise that they kind of dance around really, really, really remarkably. I very much enjoyed it. And in terms of the comedy itself, if you dig 30 Rock, I think you'll probably dig this.
So is it Kenneth the Page as a chick?
There's a lot of that, and you can tell that they like, writing these kinds of archetypes. Because her roommate has elements of kind of a Tracy Morgan sort of thing. And I know that there was a cameo in 30 Rock where Carrie Fisher played an old hero of Liz Lemon's, and their landlord is very much in that vein of a character with some of the one-liners and this old 19 this gritty New York kind of
line up, Liz. It's the 90s.
So yeah, it's I really 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 liked it.
How many episodes in are you? Did you finish the whole thing?
I finished it, yeah.
Okay, because I got 2 episodes in, and to be honest, I didn't have really any desire to go back to it. But then Tom hit me up saying like, "Oh no, episode 4 is really a do or die one. Just skip to that one, and if that doesn't take you, nothing will."
Did you like 30 Rock?
I only saw a couple episodes here or there, and from what I understand, like the more of it you watch, the better it got. Because you got a real handle on all the characters.
It is a very specific kind of taste. Like I don't think that it's anything that I would like look down on somebody if they didn't dig. It's extraordinarily pop culture centric, and it scratches a very specific comedy itch for me. I don't think it is a one size fits all kind of thing, and also it's both shows, and this one probably more so than 30 Rock is very like love letter to New York, kind of stuff. So if that's something that doesn't necessarily resonate with you, then I think that it's going to miss a little bit.
Well, according to Tom, episode 4 was just really good, full stop. But then episode 9, all of a sudden, there's a massive tonal shift. Like all of a sudden, they're making jokes about heroin, Netflix, and it gets like darker. Like you could tell because the first half of these were written with the intention of them being an NBC series, primetime, traditional comedy, and then they went to Netflix, and so obviously it changed the rules about what they could get away with and what they could try.
Dude, no, there are definitely things where I was watching it and it feels like 30 Rock. It has this kind of NBC sort of aesthetic to it, and then. And that, not to spoil something, but a fairly major character gets hooked on heroin, and in very comedic things kind of come of it and around it, and that's something that would never have gotten approved on broadcast television. So it's fun to see that flavor taken just that kind of 5 or 10 degrees. Like it's nothing weird. It's not Train Spotting or anything. It's just, a character getting hooked on heroin and everybody laughs about it.
As one does.
Brah.
So I intercepted a bunch of chit chat between a bunch of people I respect as podcasters and as gamers who were talking up an entire genre of video game that I never got into because I was always intimidated. It was like, I'm too late to the game. I'm just going to show up and be lousy at it. But instead, thanks to Jeff Kanata, Christian Spicer, and Scott Johnson and a few other folks, they got me to try Heroes of the what is it? Heroes of the Storm from Blizzard. And much like Hearthstone is this crazy mashup of all these World of Warcraft characters appearing in card form, Heroes of the Storm goes even bigger. Like the opening starts off as you're the main character from StarCraft 2. You get zapped up to an alien spaceship, and Uther Lightbringer from the Warcraft franchise explains that now you guys have to start fighting. And he's like, wait, why is this? And he's like, what's mana? Why do I have mana all of a sudden? I'm in a robot suit. And he's like, basically like, you don't need to ask so many questions, and then just go to work. And there's this self-awareness to it and a bit of ridiculousness to the premise that makes it awesome because it's not out of character for you to click and for the character to remind you, you can hit B to do that. Why don't you do that? And then and it goes on. I'm enjoying it a lot. It's like Dota. It's a lot of running forward and running back. It's silly, it's fun, and I'm being seduced by it. Heroes of the Storm. It's in beta right now, so if you find somebody to throw you a code, it's free.
My pick is it was theatrically released and it just came out on video on iTunes, and I watched it Friday. And it's one of those things where when I first watched it, I loved 2/3 of it. 1/3 of it left me going, and so I like to go back and watch movies that the first time around I'm like, and then because then going into it, I have my expectations have been set. Sometimes I just end up hating something even more. Sometimes I end up liking it even more. And I would say that, and I knew when I saw this in the theater, I'm like, I know I'll like this more the second time I see it because I will the edges won't be sharp. I'll know. No, I know not to stick my fingers under the seat and touch the gum.
Yeah.
It's an Andrew Mainism for you. There you go. Let that sit with you. And I'm talking about Interstellar.
Oh, did you like it more the second time through?
Absolutely, because I mean, it's when I watched it, I'm like, there is so much great stuff here. The problem is that like, there are things where it was not great. We're like, this, because like I would be watching like this is a beautiful thing, but I wish this hadn't happened like this, or I think the storytelling was too compressed here, or whatever. But I knew that like once I see it and once I go back and watch it again, I won't be as I'll know like, okay, it's not gonna give this other thing. I won't give me what I want here, but it will give me these other great gifts and storytelling and visual. I mean, it is an amazing film. It is absolutely an amazing film, and what Christopher Nolan did there. There are, and also I could actually understand more of it listening to at home and being able to adjust the sound.
Yeah, that's right. It was the IMAX showings that had a different sound mix from other performances.
ArcLight too. ArcLight. I saw the ArcLight Dome, which is one of the premier places to go see it, where the studio engineers went and tested it. And Nolan was insistent that this is the way it was supposed to be meant. And there are scenes you can't hear, like the blast off scene. The robot says stuff that you cannot hear it. Home video, some funny jokes made by the robot.
Yeah, yeah, sure. That's amazing. I've noticed that a number of things when you there are movies that I hated in the movie theater, but just seeing them on a smaller scene in a more cozy setting where you where it wasn't that $20 gamble of you better impress me makes you a more forgiving audience and you can enjoy different aspects to it.
In like my favorite was like in the blast off scene, I couldn't hear the joke in the theater, and it was as they're taking off, as Tar says, as they're leaving Earth, Tar says, "So are you all ready to be slaves in my robot colony?" And that's what leads to the whole humor setting adjust to that. I thought that was like, I'm like, that's a funny joke, Yeah. And it just I said, and I like that because that gave us more of the personality of Tars, in that, because those robots were awesome.
Well, and that's a different take than we've seen from these archetypal robots. And I believe, forgive me if I'm misremembering this, but they were either modeled on or bore a suspicious resemblance to Vincent and Bob from the Black Hole Disney shows. Whereas like one was more like a kind of a rugged country bumpkin, and the other was a little more, professional, down to business. I wish I could remember the exact story with that.
Oh, I'm surprised anybody would base anything on Black Hole.
Black Hole. By the way, Black Hole is unwatchable nowadays, which is too bad.
I tried watching it again quite recently.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Was it unwatchable?
Because it is a, it was that everybody went crazy after Star Wars to try to get science fiction properties into play, and Disney wanted this to be their Star Wars, which is of course, a dark story based on the Tempest.
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Well, and also, but I'll tell you what, having said that, now it is boring and unwatchable. However, it does have very sticky, haunting images. Mm-hmm. That empty, hollowed husk of a spaceship is haunts me to this day. And Justin looks like he's got to go run a game now.
Just go already.
See you later, guys.
All right, we should wrap this up. We'll save the rest for after things.
All right, everybody, it's been weird.
All right, take care, Justin.
Yeah, sorry guys. Bye.
6722 is where we're at.
All right. So if it's cool with you, I'm gonna go take a restroom break, and then I'm gonna call you back from my phone.
From the car. Awesome. And we'll do like maybe 20, 25 minutes or so for after things.
Okay. Perfectly. I'm gonna leave Skype right now.
All right, you got it. Here, in fact, I'm gonna let Bryce drive. Go for
it. Hey guys, what's going on? What am I gonna? I should plug in my laptop. That's the thing. How's it going, guys? Oh man, my hair looks really flat today. Hey, Spork and Pork and Wabbit Magic and Strength Theater Monkey, Gambling Man, Whiskey Wolf. Hi everybody. Carl was in here. Do something Brian told you not to do. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say the word. No, I'm not gonna do that. Oh yeah, maybe we can pull up a little bit of music or something while we wait. SoundCloud.com/. Yeah, we'll just play a little music. Because I need to. Oh shoot! I could have taken the little desk here today. Yeah, hey, maybe just a little bit of this. Yeah, good shows tonight. Show today. If you missed the beginning of the show, you may want to check out the Weird Things Facebook. I think, Andrew finds a lot of stories every week for Weird Things. And I also found some stories, and just because of the ephemeral nature of it, and we only hit so many stories on the podcast every week, I think we had someone on the subreddit say, I wish we had a Weird Things discussion thread. But that doesn't seem like the best format for discussing news, especially that's not on the show. I posted the thing on the subreddit, and it got a lot of upvotes, but it didn't really get any comments, which is a shame. So I think what we'll do is, as I and possibly as Andrew finds stuff, we'll throw stuff to the Facebook. Let's see what that is. Facebook.com. Where? No. That's not it at all. Maybe Weird Things podcast? No. Man. Weird Things pod? No. Uh-oh. Hey, there he is. I was looking for the Weird Things Facebook, because I guess it would help if... Oh, Weird Things Com. Facebook.com/Weird Things Com. We're going to start posting stuff there. All right.
Yeah, you got it. Facebook.com/Weird Things Com. The com is short for communism. All right. I know what I want to talk about. I hope it matches with what Andrew wants to talk about. Because otherwise he'll... Oh, yeah. Here, let me move this up as well. By the way, it occurs to me that some people might be watching us live over their Roku streaming box, thanks to the Diamond Club app. Thank you again to Sergeant Muffin for putting that together. If you guys are wondering where this chat room is, it exists at diamondclub.tv. You can click on there and jump in the chat. You'll find a real friendly group of people who are happy to entertain you and make you feel loved. And let's see. Yeah, right on. We're a science website. I like it. Holy cow, Weird Things Com has 11,000 likes. I think that's more than my site. Nope. Right on.
But yeah, we should be posting news stories there.
Yeah, here, you can set up that if you want to.
Oh, sweet. Hey.
Hey, there you
Hey, big spender.
Hey, everybody, have you heard the news?
We got a Facebook.
And we've got the blues. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I would love it if somebody's watching right now on their Roku box, if anyone's discovered us in the wild, come and jump in the chat. We'd like to interview you. Oh, that's a good point. I have not tweeted out, but we are in the last 2 days of your opportunity to vote at podcastawards.com using our fabulous bookmarklet. Thanks to T2. Go to t2t2.eu/podawards and go there. Did you vote today, Bryce?
I have not voted yet today. I will.
You're going to have to get your own IP address, though.
Oh.
Yeah, because you can't...
I have a VPN for perfectly legal reasons.
Yeah, or you can use your phone.
Or I can use my phone.
Yeah, but you can't use the bookmarklet with the phone.
I can't. But I got the VPN.
Yeah, there you go.
Which I use for perfectly legal reasons.
Well, yeah, yes, dude. There's VPNs are highly convenient. They allow you to do some fabulous stuff, like.
Happy Hobo says I'm fired, so.
It says you're fired. That's it. You crossed the line. You're out, Neshcom. Hey, what are we doing as far as the ad that we're shooting today?
So we've got 2 things. two ads.
One is the special project. Which
No, okay, then I mean 3.
Okay. Well, the special project.
Special project.
No.
I
want. Okay. I just want to say. Okay. Can it? But this is important. This is like strategy.
Okay.
I want to take some of that Coleman white gas and just run
Oh, you've told me about
100
that.
yards. Okay. Yeah.
I think the weather's good. We could do that
Okay.
today.
I mean, not so much legally, but like.
Oh, well.
It'll have to be guerrilla style. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
And then.
Oh, so we
we're
won't be
done.
getting permits for this ad.
Yeah, unlike all the other ads, where normally we're permitted for everything.
The other is I don't know if you've ever seen a lawyer like the Hammer type.
Oh
commercial.
yeah. Any of those?
Like,
do
back
I get
home
to,
we- yeah.
Do I get to dress up in a suit again?
Hell yeah.
Dude, you know that's my favorite thing.
Back home we've got Lowell the Hammer Stanley.
Yeah, or Jim Adler, attorney.
Yeah. That's the one that Travis sent us the other day.
Yeah.
And then I think the other is a those greatest hits CD collections.
Oh sure, like
the
now that's
best
what I call
80s
music.
song.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but make it like the K-Tel era of Freedom Rocks. Or do you remember that?
Maybe.
Is that? Hey man, is that Freedom Rock? Turn them up. Freedom Rock. Wow, dude, this is back. Yes, holy cow.
Oh man.
Yeah. Man.
Hey, man, is that Freedom Rock? Yeah, man. Well, turn it up, man.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it would be something similar to that. It was like
This is a 2-minute ad. Holy cow.
It's got to be a compilation of
Hey,
ads,
man,
right?
remember
Yeah,
the good old
no.
days?
Or is it
You
like
know,
one long
drug
infomercial?
guys going to jail. Well, man, we found this new album called Freedom Rock. It's got all those great songs we used to groove to back then. Just listen. Don't you want somebody to love? Maybe I'll be there to shake your hand. Maybe I'll be there to share the land. Making friends.
Oh my God. Does this mean we get to go through like the music library and the APM music
Oh.
library and sing little grooves to it?
Ditties? Yeah.
Yeah. Registering domains today. Gotta register in a major way.
Freedom Rock has it all, man. 40 original rock hits by the original artist. On 4 records,
Check
3
or money
cassettes,
order.
2 CDs.
No
Here's
COD.
more. In a white room with black curtains.
This is a good collection. Look this up.
Hey, Freedom Rock, man.
I've seen fire and I've seen rain. Sunshine go away today.
Dude, you guys are rock stars at domain.com. They are
Yeah?
our biggest fans. Like they were truly like this girl, like this one girl.
Oh, 'cause
who
you
worked
went to
at
the
IT.
party, right?
Yeah. She's like, I'm sorry, I'm fangirling out. You guys do the best ads.
$24.95. Here's how to order.
Carl said, can you work in, but how could this have been done? Into a skin. But then Carl must have missed the last game school because that was the,
Yeah, it was worked in there.
it was worked on.
Plus $3
Yeah, let's
shipping and
do
handling to
scans,
Freedom Rock 1033.
It wasn't a
Fleet
said
National
line,
Bank
so
Bill.
maybe at some point we'll do a said line,
Yeah,
but it's,
let's see. I
yeah.
think it's right.
Answer. Of course. You gotta post it.
How could this have been done?
And then this great
Grant
ad.
Hughes, editor. Exposed to inappropriate levels of domain names.
Good deals on domain names makes him the world's smartest man. I know everything.
So that's so much better when you've seen the Heat Vision and Jack intro segment. There we go.
Jack Austin, astronaut. Exposed to inappropriate levels of solar energy.
Sunlight makes him the world's smartest man.
I know everything! I want that brain. Take it out.
Heat Vision, the motorcycle with the mind of Jack's unemployed roommate. Together they run for their lives, blocked at every turn by adventure.
Dan Harmon wrote this, right?
Yeah.
You bring me down. I can get about. Gonna make the town move.
Knowledge is power. For real.
So amazing. All right, let me try giving Andrew a call here. See if we can make this happen. Cuz we got videos to shoot.
Oh, you got a text from him?
I did?
Yes.
He's texting me, asking me which account I'm on. There we go. Hopefully he'll call in here momentarily. We'll get ready with the after things. Thank you again to everyone who sponsors. I almost said the name of the other show, Weird Things, and makes it possible for us to do this stuff. Hey, Andrew, sorry I missed your text.
No worries. Yeah, I am trying a different experiment here. I have my. I'm actually talking to you on my iPhone.
Man, you sound great.
Excuse me, my iPod. Well, my iPod, I'm using my Verizon account, and then I'm going to use my separate. I can use my phone to navigate. So we'll see how well this all works.
Wait, are you driving?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, not yet.
Okay.
I'm not driving yet. I'm walking out the door here, trying to remember what I'm going to forget. Phone.
Phone, wallet, keys.
Yeah, man, that Kumare was a bit of a mind trip. I liked it quite a bit.
Yeah, it's one of those things I keep meaning to watch, but I haven't watched yet.
Well, it's not, mind blowing. It's and to be honest, especially since I've seen a little bit about how the nature of reality programming works. I don't know how much of it is exactly as presented, but just as a concept and an idea, and certainly the reactions at the end of people who find out and how they react and respond to it was fascinating to me. Yeah, we should. I guess now is a good time to point out that we lost Andrew Main. He's out. Is it the youtube.com/Night Attack show? Is
Yes.
that where it is?
Yes. If you are a patron, it's not live yet, so you need to be logged in.
I'm logged in as me. I don't know if I.
No, it's a separate account.
Oh, got it. I have to log in as the Night Attack thing. Because it's unlisted.
Right.
Unless I know. Yeah. Actually, you know what? I can find the email.
Yeah.
Boy, look at the difference. What a difference. Ostensibly the same shot. That's called amateur, high-end amateur,
prosumer.
Prosumer. Close enough for me.
Yeah, if you're a patron of the Night Attack Patreon, at any level, the Rock Doc is available for you if you go to the Patreon, log in, and it's in the creations.
Yeah, dude.
There you go.
We'll watch a little bit of this while we're waiting. Yeah, man, 40 minutes, not bad.
Yeah.
Holy shit, man. South by So Wasted lived up to its name.
It was, I think that was, we're in a very fortunate position because every time we do a live event, I leave saying that's the best live event we've ever done.
Yeah, so far we're 5-0.
Yeah,
on that.
We're really, really good at everything. So fucking, we're done. Just play that over a loop over and over again because we're the best. So starting off at is this the first time ever we've just had a fan that has become a music act that's been on the
Andrew Main.
There he is.
Hello.
What's up? We lost you there, buddy. Are you there? Yep.
We don't hear you.
Blurk.
Oh, internet thing is red.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Bum, bum, ba-dum.
show?
No, yes, it is. I can't think of another time. Unless you count MC Allergy.
Yeah, which, one day when she performs.
Yeah, this is the other thing. Realize, Tropics is 18 years old.
Yeah.
And he did something. He hopped in the car, drove by himself.
No, his dad came down.
Okay. I'm lying.
He basically had like a rock star experience where he crashed with other Diamond Club people, came and was on the show, on the poster. Yeah, that was a bizarre experience.
All right, let's talk it through because I know first time I ever did a live close-up gig, I was shitting bricks, man.
Yeah.
I was just like freaked the hell out, and it was awkward as hell. I can't imagine having your first. I assume it's his first big gig. Your first gig being for the entire internet.
Yeah.
and at a South by Southwest packed event.
Well, it's for a community that he spends a lot of time in and he makes a lot of stuff for. So. He's not just posting up randomly on the crowded.
I'm gonna jump forward to.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road, back again. Your heart is true, you're a pal and a confidant. And if you threw a party, you invited everyone you knew. You would see the biggest shots would be from me, and the card attached would say, thank you for buying my shot.
I've had these Posse Posse songs stuck in my head all week.
Oh, I'll bet, man.
This one, the Fancy mashup with the Reba song?
Yeah.
Travel down the road, back again. Your heart is true, you're a pal and a confidant. If you threw a party, you invited everyone you knew. You would see the biggest shots would be for me, and the card attached would say, thank you for buying my shot.
All right, there we go. Do we have you back?
Yeah. My Verizon MiFi card was not giving me a very stable connection here, so I'm gonna try to multitask with my navigator and my Skype and everything else.
If you want to, you could go just audio only. That'd be simple.
Yeah, I think I am audio. Do you see my face?
Yeah,
I think
no,
I'm audio only.
yeah, it's just you are audio only. I didn't know if you had aspirations of setting up video as well.
Brian, I would love to do videos I drive, but I don't think I can handle that.
All right, man. Are you good to go?
Yeah, I'm gonna close my garage door and I'm ready to go.
Cool. I had an idea for something we could talk about that's relevant to what's happening right now.
Oh, you know what's cool is if I put the microphone closer to my face, I use the other earphone. So, is that better?
Yeah. Yeah.
Found instead of dangling by my waist, better by my face.
That's
the motto.
a motto to live by.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. You ready? We'll count it in. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to After Things. I'm Andrew Main, talking to you from the road, so I apologize for the noise. Joined by Mr. Brian Brushwood.
Heck yeah,
who says
man.
he has something to talk about.
Well, yeah, I think it's relevant because if I understand correctly, you haven't said what it is, but you're driving to meet with someone about a project that you're working on, right?
That's kind of a lie. I'm actually driving to Disneyland to hang out with a buddy.
Okay, that's fine. but it got me thinking.
A buddy who can't let people know where he is because he has an employer that will,
Got it. Well, so here's what's interesting to me is the journey over the last 6 or 7 years. People tend to get really wound up about what they think their best chance is to have a breakout project, whether it's a book, whether it's a TV show, whether it's, an internet series or whatever. And the nature of all of these big projects is that, especially when they involve other people, whether it's a production team, whether it's a distribution team, whether it's a book deal or so on, you end up having to start down a road and then stop. And sometimes you are legally prevented from beginning anything else, or working on anything else until you get to the next phase of that project. And I guess part of it is, right now we're waiting to hear what'll happen on next season of Hacking the System. But meanwhile, obviously the phone rings and people have all these interesting projects that they want me to and participate in, and I have to say, well, right now I'm contractually bound. I'm limited and per my agreement for this exclusivity and so on. But that doesn't keep you from thinking about what might happen on the next phase. And it seems to me like it becomes very important to always have other things you're thinking about working on. If you are bound in one area. Let's say it's a book deal. You can't publish another book until this one comes out. That doesn't mean you can't write the next book. It certainly doesn't mean you can't start the next podcast. And it doesn't mean you can't, what's your philosophy when it comes to keeping multiple projects in other chambers?
First and foremost is I think that I have an ethical responsibility to know that I can live up to the obligation. And there's contractual things, but then there's when I was working on Don't Trust Andrew Mayne, going into production on the first season of that was, my producers knew that I wrote books. I think that's great. They're my friends. They know that I write books. But what they did not want is to have me on set writing books when I should be focused on learning the next magic trick or developing something or whatever. They wanted to know that they had my undivided attention, as they should have. And so I had to do rewrites on the second Angel Killer book, Name of the Devil, available on Amazon right now. And I worked on that up until pre-production started, and then I put it away, and I did not touch the book until we wrapped. Now, there are many, many times where it would have been great to maybe have had that book, to just work on and take my mind away from what we're doing. But the thing is I knew I needed to be 100% focused on the show. And, I even went to the point of, I deleted on my phone things like, Reddit and other stuff just so I would not have distractions, because I knew that sometimes I would want to escape a problem that needed to be solved by a distraction that would consume up more time than I needed just to have a moment to step back. That's part of it. But then the multiple projects, I am absolutely a believer, and I always have a plan A, a plan B. The TV show was my plan B, by the way. That was that. When I went into working on my books, when HarperCollins looked and they saw that I'd written 6 books in 1 year at one point, their fear was they didn't want to be out there promoting Angel Killer and then have me promoting 2 or 3 other books. And so, I told them, listen, I'm going to be 100% behind Angel Killer when this comes out. And I lived up to that. And to the point that, I haven't released anything else, because I just wanted to focus on that. And I have some other things that are in development. But, it's a double-edged sword. You want to be committed to the project at hand, but you don't want to be in a position where that project's over and you're like, well, now what?
I mean, I'm very proud. Well, I guess we didn't mention it, but there's a game you haven't played, Andrew, because you're a smart man who knows your own limitations, called Hearthstone. And the one way you get screwed in that game is if you play all of your cards and all of a sudden you have nothing left to react to different opportunities, and instead you only get to play whatever is being handed to you once per round. And it seems like projects are a bit like that. You want to have enough opportunities. Like if you've reached a upper limit where you now have to wait for a response for someone, especially in the area before you have signed any contracts, when it's just speculation, when you're just pitching whatever it is, there is no better time to set that project down for a bit and start up another one. Have it ready. Mm-hmm. Because what's amazing is there are projects you and I have worked on that made it 2 or 3 months into development, and then real life happened to one or the other of us. And, 5 years later, we're finally at a place where it's like, oh, we might all be able to start that project up again, and we can make a phone call and pitch this thing. And that only happens if you at least start them, right?
Yeah, and I'll tell you a funny thing, too, that happens is that I've gone through periods where I think, man, everything reached its dead end. Everything reached its dead end. All the things are done. I need to figure out something new. And then a week later, everything is alive again. And, I've had that happen where all of a sudden, oh, yeah, no, these people are excited about this. Oh, yeah, these people want to talk to you about this. These people want to talk to you about this and all that. And it's like, man, I was ready just to move on to something else. And sometimes, it's hard to know. As there are things you think are dead, and then all of a sudden they come back. But you always want to have multiple things going on. And I have the things that I really want to do. I have things that I would like to do, and I have things that I will do. And you certainly don't want to be too distracted, though. That can be a problem. And I noticed that my problem can be that I've mentioned this before. I have several novels that are 70% done, and I mean literally 70% done. They're already novel status. They're already novel length. Not ideas, but I mean fully written things that I just said, I want to tweak this last act. I'm not so sure. And then I walk away from it.
Which is a great place to be in, because I am embarrassed that, we had originally planned to finish up the 3rd Scam School book in October of 2012. And instead, we had the idea to pitch and launch Scam Stuff. And so as a result, book 3 sits, probably around that same amount, 70% done. People keep asking when it's going to come back. And to be honest, it's very likely going to have to be a simultaneous release with the physical book. We have to finish up Scam School Book 2 in the physical form and get that out. And then, but when we get there, it sure will be nice to not be starting at 0, but instead to have 70% of it already finished. You know, and in some ways, we're always working on the book because we're always developing, you know, and accruing new scams and ideas on the show. So in many ways, that sort of acts as an initial filter. But you may feel like you've wasted time to get 70% of the way and then table the project. But understand, that's saved time to future you when you come back to pick it up again.
Sure, and I feel like I have book like Name of the Devil comes out in July. I have a different version, a full, almost completely finished version of that book that's told slightly differently. Not a, I took the book and made some revisions. I mean, a page 1 rewrite of that book that I did.
Wow.
That will never see the light of day. And I'm okay with that because, you know, what I learned, what I picked up, what I tried, and what I experimented, I learned a lot in doing that. And then when I went back to go revise the original second version, or second, you know, the Name of the Devil, you know, I said, oh, okay, I didn't take elements, but I certainly took stylistic things and little notes and stuff. So I don't really consider it a waste of time as long as you're making some movement, as long as you are releasing. And I think too that you're smart. That I have 2 friends, very, very close friends who I really respect, who have announced projects, taken money for projects, and then not been able to deliver.
Yeah. Oh, that's me and Justin, right?
Yeah.
Quality programming is what we promised, and we failed to deliver.
Yeah, and that's the thing that you want to avoid. And I think that's the problem is there's a lot of people see this allure with Kickstarter. They look at it as like, there's the money to do the thing I want to do. There's the money I want, for the thing to do. Take something as far as you possibly can, Don't, if the only thing holding you back is the incentive of money to get it done, that's not good. Because once you get a little bit, once you get some in there, then the incentive goes away. Once you solve your rent problem or your mortgage problem, then you're not going to be motivated, and then you put yourself in a worse situation. I've seen a lot of people screw them over that way. And I have friends that want I want to write, but I'm not going to write because there's no money in it for me right now. It's like, well, guess what? You're not going to get a book advance for something you ain't written. It ain't going to happen.
Well, and that's the other thing. It's sort of what it made me think of when you talked about, starting complete rewrites that'll never see the light of day. All of the great sculptures, they don't just grab a chunk of rock and then bada bing bang, they make, a statue of David, although it might have been that case with Michelangelo. But oftentimes what they'll do is they will create as scale models. By the time they do the real sculpture, it'll be the 4th or 5th iteration they've done, and they finally learned all the things that they've learned, and they've proven things on a smaller scale to where now it's time for the big time. Likewise, we did the Weird Things podcast for 4 years before we ever asked people to contribute any money. I guess we had those $30 spots that we would do to shout out projects. Same thing for, BB Live Show had 8 months of doing it before we took any money for NSFW. NSFW, we took virtually no money for 4 years before we went independent, and we felt like, okay, we feel like we have a polished product, and we feel good about asking for money and handling all of production and distribution on our own. You have to have that progress. You have to have iterations. You have to have small, I don't want to call them failures because they don't necessarily have to be failures, but practice sessions with everything so that you can come in and be as polished as possible.
For sure. I think that, you have to know why you want to do something. And we doubled down on Weird Things at a point when the 3 of us were at the busiest that we've been. We're at the busiest we've been, and we have that understanding. If somebody has to go away for a few weeks or a month or whatever to go work on something, that's fine. I mean, I disappeared when I was in production on my show because it's just production-wise, I couldn't do it. And that could happen again, but I know that, that's the only time I'd do that. But we did these things at the point, double down at a point because we knew that there was a thing we wanted to keep coming back to doing.
Well, and we were running the risk, I think it's fair to say, of Weird Things just not fitting into our schedule anymore. We were all so busy. It's like if we ask for a little bit of coin, then it becomes cemented in stone and becomes an obligation that is sacrosanct to all of us, right?
There's a great Arnold Schwarzenegger story, of which there are many, on the set of Terminator 2. At the time, Terminator 2 was like one of the most expensive movies ever made. Arnold Schwarzenegger's payout for that movie was, at the time, I mean, even to this day, is colossal. It was like 20 million. It was a % of the box office. Part of his deal was he got a jet, and they were super flexible with his hours. Okay, he's on the set. They're burning daylight. They have to get a shot in, and Arnold is supposed to go fly out. There's jets waiting in the airport. He's supposed to hop on his jet and fly, to a dinner at the governor, to go meet with the then governor of the California, whatever, meet with the president or whatever. It was a big fly out to some big wig sort of dinner party, right? Arnold, they're on the set. They know, Arnold, they're supposed to let Arnold go in 35 minutes. And, but Arnold, but they don't have the shot yet. They need the shot. It's absolutely crucial. And for the budget of that production, and it was one of the producers or somebody like this says, Arnold, can you stay longer? And Arnold's like, listen, I've got to go do this thing. It's really important. The producer, and this is Arnold telling the stories. And the producer says to me, says, listen, we gave you the money we asked. We got you the jet. We got you everything. What do we need to give you to get you to stay and do this? And Arnold said, I thought about it and realized, absolutely right. I told him I'd be committed. I would be there 100%. He says, you're right. I'm going to cancel it. I'm going to stay here and do this. And that's, a thing is you at that point, what more do we have to give you to get you 100%? What does it take to get 100%?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I guess, certainly here we are. You've got stuff to do and I've got, ads to shoot, but we're taking times for after things, which by the way, I am really enjoying these discussions.
I love this. I absolutely love this stuff because it's, we're trying to figure this stuff out. Everybody listening, I get, it's amusing me. I got an email, I got a Facebook message, which I don't reply to Facebook messages. It's just a policy because I hate Facebook Messenger. No offense to the wonderful company that's Facebook. But anyhow, the question was how do I be like you? It was some guy, the show is airing in, is airing in North Africa and Nepal and all that. So the emails I get are interesting. It's how do I be like you? And I'm sitting there thinking be like me. I don't know what me means. I don't know what that is. I'm still trying to figure out, what I'm doing.
Well, and that's the unfortunately, shockingly boring answer to, how do you be, and I'm sure what they mean is reach that level of success. The biggest thing is to find your voice and find what works for you. It's people write me all the time, and it's I understand they're 15. They don't know how classless it is to ask, hey, by the way, I really like your knife routine. I'm going to do that. How's that done? Yeah. Or it's hey, I really like your psychic surgery. I'm going to do that. How's it done? They just don't even know that's a big no-no in variety entertainer to just take someone else's act. But more importantly, I'd like to point out, look, man, even if you stole my coat, it wouldn't fit you, and you would look ridiculous in it. What you need to do is figure out what you can be inspired by in this routine. But the only reason that routine exists is because I did 3,000 stage shows between the years of 1999 and 2014. So it's do your own 3,000 shows, craft something brand new, and you won't look like a weird ripoff.
I went through this discussion with a friend of mine who's a magician, who's a pretty good magician, and we're actually walking down the streets, walking down Hollywood Boulevard, and I said, well, what do you want to do? And he's like, well, I want to perform on this stage, I want to perform here, I want to go there and there, and I've heard this before. And I said, all right, what are you going to be doing? It's fun. You've told me how big you want the trophy to be, what color the trophy should be, what the plaque on the trophy should be, and it's I said, I gave an example, I said, when I was a kid, I was asked to try out for the swim team. I was a pretty good swimmer. I went to the swim team, and I thought, oh, this might be kind of fun. And I realized to be a swimmer meant to spend 3 hours a day, every day in the pool going back and forth. I did not want that. I did not want that. Would I have loved to have been good enough to go to the Olympics and do all that, which I would not have been able to. Let me make that clear. But would I have loved that? Sure. I was better at judo, much, much better at judo, and I stood a much better chance in that in judo. But I realized, I did not want to be in the dojo 5 days a week. I was happy being in the dojo 2 days a week, going to my tournaments, getting second and third, every now and then maybe getting a first, but basically hitting second, third. I was happy doing that. I did not want to spend 5 days a week going to that. People are like, oh, you've been invited to go to the national training camp and all that. Do you want to go? I'm like, and do what? Judo all day? That's not for me. And that's the thing is when people, I say, what are you going to be doing on the stage? And it's well, They want all the things that go with fame and attention, but they don't want the work. You have to want the work.
That's the weird part. And first of all, it is important that the work be its own reward. If you are somebody who truly loves judo and you get something out of judo that you can't get anywhere else, then yes, by all means. But other than that, you should begin with the ending in mind. And I remember kind of having this cold calculus as I started Magic. I realized I'm almost 20 years old. I realized that if I want to be the world's best violinist, it's already too late. There's no way I could do it. And if I want to be the world's best gymnast, it's already too late. And not only that, what's the shelf life on a gymnast or a violinist or a baseball player? And where do they end up? Where is the ending of this road? And evaluate how difficult a tournament it is and what your likely outcomes are at the other end. And unfortunately, a lot of people wash out of baseball, and maybe they take regular jobs, and it's a very difficult place. Freakonomics has a fantastic story about it, and I remember thinking, I can do Magic for a long, long time.
Yeah,
I can be an old successful man doing Magic because I'm seeing all these other old successful men doing Magic, and so I felt good about beginning that skill set, knowing that it could take me many other places.
Let's use a hero of yours and mine, Teller of Penn and Teller. Teller is a multimillionaire several times over, okay? Teller is extremely wealthy. Teller is also an accomplished writer and producer. Teller has accomplished many, many things. He and Penn are going to be going on Broadway very soon and doing a Broadway run. I guarantee you, Teller is looking forward to inventing and coming up with the next group of magic tricks he's going to present, making the things he's done before better. He is a guy that is at the point in his life where he could retire and do whatever he wants. But what he wants to do is he wants to go perform and do an amazing job on Broadway. And he's going to. And that is exciting. And I think that's the thing. When I talk to people who are, people who are aspirational, whether it be magicians or writers, and I hear this sort of thing where they're talking about dollar signs. They're not talking about what they want to give of their art, what they want to do. It's like, I don't know that will work. I don't know that, and I know that won't make you happy.
Yeah, and there certainly is. There is something to be said. Maybe we'll say this for another after things because, I definitely am in the middle of a shift of structural focus. I realize that I've maxed out my bandwidth for creative stuff, and that now that the problem is. I was trading my time for money, and when I was on the road touring, there just wasn't enough time to work on all the other stuff, and that's part of the reason that we built, Scam Stuff. And to me, money is the result, but it's important because I wanted it so I could free up more time to do more art for art's sake. In the words of that book.
Yeah, I'm not eschewing the idea of doing things for money at all.
Sure.
What I'm saying is that when you look at the things that you can choose to do, is that if you don't like the work if you don't like the work, then that's not going to be for you. And that's the bottom line. Is that there are many things that I have friends who are investment bankers and stuff, and I talked for a while about the idea of going and working in the MB, doing research and putting together, working on portfolios and stuff. I'm like, so I don't want to get up at 5 a.m. and have to drive into Manhattan. I don't want that work. Would it be nice to be worth, millions of dollars? Absolutely. But at what cost, at what price? And I think that, you have to say, okay, yes, you want to do you want to do the thing, you want to be compensated for what you do and as well as you can be. But when it comes to, if you don't want the work, and that's things, again, I talk about like magicians who don't want the work. They don't want to be sitting there on a Friday night planning the next great magic trick. That was a big realization for me when I worked on a David Copperfield special, was I saw how hard he worked. And I'm like, I like magic. I don't like it as much as he likes it, you know? I want to do other things.
David Copperfield has a legendary work ethic. I mean, he is an animal who has a deep, deep need to do things and be the best at them. And it's like that has a lot of benefits. And artistically, the world is a richer place because of all the effort that he has put in. But on the flip side, would I trade places with him? All the material success he has, all of the fame he has, comes at a cost. At the end of the day, that dude is still working hard and doesn't have to be. And that's a price I don't think I'm willing to pay.
Yeah, I saw at 19, I saw that, and I'm like, man, this is not for me, and that's the hard part, is that, and people want to say, well, what if the conditions are different? Well, the conditions will always be different, but if you're not willing, if you look at who's on top and you're not willing to put in more work than they put in, you need to reassess. You know, when I got into writing, I thought to myself, I said, okay, I think I know how to tell a good story. I know who's at the top. Am I willing to work as hard or harder than the people at the top? And then I said, yeah, I am, because I will nonstop sit there and analyze writing and storytelling and doing these things. There are other things that I'm not a guy that's trying to get on a Vegas stage as a performer, because, you know, that's not my goal. If that was my goal, you know, I would have to be a person that right now I would probably be driving, you know, to Vegas or somewhere. I'd be going around to go see as many live shows as I could to take notes and to think about what works and what doesn't. But that's not how I want to spend my time. And that's something too, is that you talk to people like, this is, when you tell them what the work is and they don't want the work, it's like, well, it's a fantasy.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're up against our 25 minutes that we pledged. We'll give you guys a longer one next time. I'm glad you were able to call in from the road.
Dude, I got 29 more minutes on my drive, so.
Well, I got commercials to make. We gotta start recording a bunch of stuff right now, including our April 1st release, which I'm very excited about.
I smell gasoline all over the road here, so this may be my last broadcast, guys.
It's been real.
Yeah.
It's been
after.
Great. There you go. Saving it.
Thank you.
Good
shows, Andrew.
What are we calling this episode?
Yeah, we need titles.
So the first episode is
that was with the XCKD, the lead masks.
Yeah, the case of the lead mask case.
Okay. Lead mask case, great.
It's pretty
good.
So After Things is about
multiple irons in the fire.
Yeah. When does money motivate you, and when does it stifle your projects?
Yeah, the work versus trophy.
Yeah. I kind of like that, work versus trophy.
All right, there we go. There was like a truck or something in front of me, and something splashed out, and I smelled gasoline everywhere.
You're just waiting for it to explode on you.
Oh, Jesus, dude. I mean, it's like... Yeah. I once went to... I had a girlfriend in the car, and we drove around this interchange, and we went to like a bookstore, and then for some reason we got delayed a little bit. We got back in the car, and the interchange was shut off, and there was a huge gas truck fire. And there had been some people in a car next to it, and the thing had toppled over on the side of the car, killed them, incinerated them.
Oh my God.
And it was one of those things like, man, we could have been right there when that happened.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah, that was one of those scary kind of realizations. I'm about to pass the truck of gas, by the way. I'm going to get into the next lane.
I have the wrong date on this, but I'm sure
Don't
you'll
worry
fix
about
it.
Yeah.
Okay, posting it to the FTP, and I am going to shut down. Goodbye, Alpha Geek Radio. Hanging up on you guys. Take care. Boop. And then now I'm going to click that we're off the air. And now I'm going to